I've been asked to speak for a veterans group. And they've asked me to speak about what I do for a living, which is pretty awesome, so that should be easy to do. So check it out. I'm on my way now. I'm going to pick up my friend Justin. He's going to help me do some live streaming. That's also another part of my crazy life, because I guess I do more than one thing, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It keeps life interesting, but you know, obviously with more things going on, can stretch you a little thin. So anyways, I want to show you guys the whole, if you've been following my channel, you can see we did a live stream a little bit ago. You can check that out and kind of see the full presentation. But essentially there's 3 speakers, a second AD, myself as a PA, and then a APOC, which is somebody who runs the office essentially for film production and television production. So we talk about what it's like to be in the business and what life actually looks like, and with the intention of this particular project, it was to help veterans who are coming out of the armed forces to essentially see if what they can do, things that they could do to better themselves and set themselves up for success entering the film business. So it's pretty exciting stuff. I feel honored to be a part of the event, and I'm super excited for it. If you connected with me at the event, or you found my channel through the event, thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll have a good number of videos that will interest you. And of course, if you have any questions or any particular topic that you wanted to follow up with me about, I am all for making videos about specific questions. So if I can, I will. If I think enough people would like to know that same answer, then I'll definitely try to answer it. The other half of this whole event is the live stream aspect of it, and that's kind of a niche that I've fallen into with corporate live streaming. And so I've actually had a good chunk of gear that I'm bringing today. I have a couple buddies of mine who are also PAs, but also do other things like photography and videography, and they've graciously volunteered their time. So thank you, Rav. Thank you, Justin, for coming out and doing this event. I'm not making any money off this event either, because it's for a good cause, and we're happy to be a part of that. And so shout out to both of those guys for being a part of this event and this this live stream, really. And so hopefully we'll be able to keep that flow going. It's always nice to have projects, especially paid projects. So but at the same time, it's also good to do a nonprofit project, to do something that will better the community or enrich the lives of other people. And that's hopefully what we're able to accomplish today with this class for these veterans.
I also want to give a big shout out to Noah, who's sitting in the center here, and he brought his team, Justin and Rob, right? Justin and Rob, what's the name? If you would want to say something, because I know that the camera's looking here, but if y'all turn around, like looks like we're doing a live television show. And he just said, hey, I'll do it, like 24 hours ago. I had no idea that he's going to bring a full studio with him.
Hey everybody, I'm Noah. I am originally from Texas, but have been in California for almost 7 years. I dance in bigger projects, PA. That's what I'm talking about. But I also get, some things apply and some things don't apply, but we're specifically talking UGA show. That is kind of the big production stuff, the top level stuff where you only have certain responsibilities as a PA, whereas like the non-union stuff, you get to kind of dance between the two. But, and it was just interesting to have different experiences in that. And so I want to give some more time about it. I am a little more than halfway. I'm about 400 days in, as you need 600 PA days to get to union level. And that would put me in the third area and that kind of stuff. And I also have about 180 days as an AD, so I could go that route too, which is 400 days. So I'm just kind of seeing whatever comes first. That's right.
And I think that discussing, let's do it, first shot. Like, that's what we're here to do. You feel it in the air. You're like, damn it, I didn't get to eat breakfast yet. Everyone's moving around. Like, I don't feel like moving fast, or I got to pack the bands. There's so many things. I got lost. I was running 5 minutes behind. Whatever's going on, it is first shot. And how do you help make that happen? So even though if you want to comment on the different ways that when you show up with your PA team and you're there to support your second, what are you thinking? Like, let's get to that first shot. that everybody can kind of comment as you got it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, essentially getting to that first shot, you have a series of tasks and things, certain responsibilities, which is beautifully outlined in Cody's paper here. So definitely read through that. And depending on what role you're assigned, you'll have certain responsibilities to get stuff happening. So generally in the morning, the first hour is the hardest hour, I would say. The first and the last are kind of the biggest moments for responsibilities and checklists and things that are going on in your mind to make sure stuff happens. And so essentially, we're preventing overtime. We're trying to minimize overtime, right? So that's the end result of what we're doing in the morning. If we can get the day started off well and fast, then typically speaking, generally speaking, at the end of the day, we'll be ahead. We'll have more stuff done. And the opposite of that is true sometimes when you start late and you're behind the ball. And at the end of the day, this is a business. That's another big thing we got to know is producers and the money side of it does influence everything else that's happening. So as far as day-to-day tasks, breakfast is a big one. Getting to set and checking in with your ADs, being there early. A lot of the times as a PA, you're very limited on time and stuff can hit the ground running and you don't get breakfast. So my personal suggestion is to get there early. Andrew Ward is an AD that I've worked with a lot. One of his things is either 15 minutes early and you're on time. If you're any time after that, you're already late. And so that's kind of one of the things I picked up on too is get there 15, if not 30 minutes early, and get breakfast before you're on the clock. Because once the day starts, it starts. I think as a day player, you're there and you have times where you can kind of shine, so to speak. But at the same time, you can be overzealous. You can step on people's toes. You can get in the way. So it's finding that balance. And that's a lot of what being a PA does is kind of reading the situation and knowing when to speak up and when to not. And so one of the things too, as far as a learning standpoint go, Cody just kind of made me something click in my mind is the sense of like, if you understand what the first AD's goal is and how his workflow goes towards that rehearsal, then you're going to know when to approach him. If you know Cody's role as a second AD, how his workflow of his day goes, then you'll know when to approach him. The next one down on the list is second, who deals mostly with background actors, placement, that kind of stuff. So just having an idea of what everybody does in their role, having that snapshot in your mind will allow you to interact with that person better, and understanding essentially how to invoke conversation without getting in the way or interrupting the flow of the day. And that's a big thing too, because ultimately we're there to work. But for you to get work, you need to make sure you pop up on somebody's radar, right? So just kind of reading that out and knowing when to approach somebody and not approach somebody's good. Also, it's a conversation. I think a lot of times I run into PAs who are either too talkative and they control that conversation. They're 80, 90% of that conversation or more. Or they're the opposite, but they're not outgoing enough. So you got to find that balance as well.
At the end of the day, just for some variety, so we can kind of contextualize what's going on, I wanted to work with Cody's duties here. And then Noah can speak to it. And I'm going to hand the mic over and go ahead, guys, stand up, see if the camera can pan with this. Can the camera pan with this? And we have to share this mic, but I tried to lay out a base camp where you probably have to drive a long walk to set. Then we have the production office floating in the sky, some magical place elsewhere. So let's say we're showing up, okay? For that first shot, let's take it to lunch.
Yeah, and I'll kind of maybe I'll run down this list here as well. And Brian, you can definitely check me if I'm saying something that to your ear is like maybe this term should be elaborated.
Noah's the expert.
The lighting. So I don't know if you have some thoughts on just kind of what to listen to.
Yeah, so every department has their heads, and so the gaffer, the chief light technician, they'll learn all these names that are on the call sheet, and those people generally will come in, and some of the grips or electricians or whomever may not necessarily need to go see that. So you're just saying marking or marking rehearsal so that they know to let their guys know so that process can start. I'm going to backtrack a little bit though towards base camp, and I wanted to point out a couple things. The second AD in base camp, PA, these are people, right? Background holding is going to be a place. This can happen at base camp. Usually background checks in at base camp, depending on the day. I would say 9 times out of 10, you can correct me if I'm wrong, base camp is where they would go, background holding, or background checking, I should say, because they need to go through costumes makeup hair, right? So these are people too, but they're also stations. And so these typically have trailers, depending on the set and what's going on. So, and depending on how involved the background, if it's period piece, that kind of thing, background PA will essentially take your team through the work sphere, right, through all 3 stations. And then sometimes there's approval, costumes has some stuff with that, but essentially you're getting them ready. Like I said, you're preparing for battle, and then we're getting them to set. And so background holding can happen at base camp, but sometimes generally it's on set. So this is a great cheat sheet. So we're skipping ahead to the first team PA. Usually that's also somebody who's a little bit more experienced as a PA. So your primary duty is to watch the main principal actors, right? Anybody who has a line of speaking role on set is considered a principal actor. It could be as little as 1 or 2 actors. It could be 10 or 12 on a really tough day. But hopefully the production has enough support for you. Sometimes they'll give you a day player to help watch the actors. And so there's a show called Castle a couple years back that I was first team PA on. And yeah, so I got to know where Nathan's going. I got to know where Stana's going. Kind of learn their habits. So Stana might use a certain bathroom on the lot, and so I would know if she's heading in that direction. I don't need to follow her all the way out to the bathroom, because I know that's where she's going. Nathan might go to craft service, and so he might be hanging out there, or he was very social with the crew, so I could kind of tell that Nathan was going to be with the crew, and so you just eventually pick up over time what the first team people do. The longer you're on a show, you kind of learn those things. So that's another thing too. The base camp PA, key set PA, first team PA, background PA, walkie, distro PA. These are all staff positions, meaning they're generally on for the run of the show. So if you're doing a season 6 of Silicon Valley, then you're generally interviewed ahead of time by ADs, and if they choose you, you're lucky enough to be one of those guys, then you're on for the full run of the show. And these responsibilities are for staff PAs, generally speaking. So yeah, jumping back on it, first team PA, yeah, they're making sure the information is passed along well. They're keeping track of actors. They're communicating with hair, makeup, wardrobe on set. So that's let's stop there. Hair, makeup, wardrobe on set. So there's something called last looks. So right before we start shooting something, the first AD might call last looks, or should generally call last looks. Hopefully they do, and you're on top of it to make sure hair, makeup, wardrobe hears that, and they're responding and saying, she's okay, we don't need to do anything, or, oh crap, last looks, I was needing to do a touch-up or whatever.
Yeah.
So your job is to make sure they know that look, because if they fall behind and they aren't able to provide that hair and makeup, obviously the actor's not going to be ready, and that delays the set. Our job as PAs is to try to help the ADs keep the ball or the train on the tracks, keep things moving forward. And so that could be a hang up, and we're trying to prevent that. So we're trying to get hair, makeup, wardrobe notified ahead of time to make sure that happens.
Can you talk about how hair makeup?
DJ training program is by far, I would say, the best way to go, from my opinion as well. If you're able to sign up for that program and get accepted, really, what do you say? I think I heard a number once, 8,000 applications a year roughly, and only 10 or 14 or something.
I think it's like 2,000, but yeah.
Okay, yeah,
12 people got accepted.
yeah, it's a lot. So I applied 1 year and got to interviews. I thought about applying again, but for me personally, just like with life, there's priorities, right? My number 1 priority in my life is God. Then it's my family, and then it's work. And so that kind of priority shift is going to be different for everybody else, right? So depending on what you have in your life, if you have kids, if you have family, there are going to be different things that weigh differently in how you just choose to live your life and do your thing. So if some of you don't have religious ties, if some of you don't have strong family that you have to spend and dedicate your time to, you can advance a little bit faster, which is kind of all depending on what you guys decide to do. So for me personally, I have straddled the line between being an AD in the non-union world and getting my PA days. You need, like what's been said, you need to collect 600 call sheets that you've been on with your pay stubs, and essentially that's called a book. So you collect a book. It's a binder that you turn into PGA. Our friend in the back probably knows way more than I about that. So I'm on my journey of completing that book, about 400 days in or so now, and I got 180 or so days as an AD learning. So I'm just waiting for the calls to come in, depending on what's going on in my life and what's happening, to whatever book gets completed first. Submit that with actually more than 600 days or more than 400 days, because they tend to decline a few days and say that they don't count, which is why 800 was submitted before. So that's kind of a thing to keep in mind. You have to be organized. You have to have your stuff together. Another big picture kind of thing is to be an AD, or some of the skill sets that are needed to be an AD. Number one is detail oriented, right? So you got to pay attention to all the details that we have with all this paperwork and all the things going on. Number two, a calm, collective attitude, no matter what the situation is, right? So you could be in the middle of a shouting match, or you could be being the one being yelled at, or you could be in a scenario where tensions are high. And one of the things that it's not a necessity, but will make you stand out is if you can stay calm in that situation, no matter what's happening, right? So to keep a rapport, to keep your attitude, to not be influenced by those things, to escalate it even more. Those are qualities that are going to kind of help set you apart as a PA working towards an AD.
And our special guest here had a hope that you can use on set that will keep you protected. There you go. So thank you so very much. Hopefully you can get some good use out of that and spread the D&D, the good word on D&D. If you ever come across vets, let them know what we're doing there. And, we definitely picture this direction. Let's just have some of our guest speakers sit right up front, and everyone else will just crowd around them. And we do a nice quick.
Might as well kill it.
All right, world, we're packing up here. This is the live stream with Veterans in media. What are you showing me?
This is top secret.
Am I allowed to
Top
film that?
secret.
Is
So we have first, key second,
Yeah.
second, DGA training, DJ training, two
on the show, Rev's showing me the secrets of the call sheet here.
one
I
staff,
can't show you.
one staff, two staff, one staff, additional, two additional, one additional, three additional, two additional.
That's crazy.